I just came back last night from the Entomological Society of America meeting, where there were several symposium of research papers delivered by scientists from around the world in bedbug management and bedbug biology. I can tell you this, and I still have yet to process my notes. A lot of that material is not in this presentation today because I just sat through the symposium yesterday, all right? And so, but I can share with you some of the things that I heard, some of the things that I know are happening. In the next year or two, you're going to see so much bedbug biology, it's going to really help us understand the nature of this problem that we're seeing with bedbugs. I was on a shuttle yesterday with Rick Cooper. Some of you may have read some of his papers in bedbug management. He's finishing his PhD right now at Rutgers. He was telling me, along with another gentleman, and we were having this discussion, we're not sure. I mean, there are a lot of invasive species in the United States that have come in, created havoc. Gypsy moth, for example, okay? The emerald ash borer, those sort of things. We don't believe, or we do believe, that bed bugs are probably the biggest problem that mankind has faced with a pest. When you look at the dollars, and you look at the grief, and you look at the problems that people are having, okay, it's huge. It's really, really huge. Let me give you an example. In 2010, my company is Rose Pest Solutions. We're headquartered out of Troy, Michigan. We have offices here throughout Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan. We have about 275 employees. So we're not a huge company, but for a pest management company, we're fairly sizable, okay? In 2010, we did a total of 4,964 bedbug-related jobs for the year. So right at 5,000, right? You round that up a little bit, okay? All right? For the guys who treated their own house. But that's how many jobs we did in the total year of 2010. In 2011, a year later, we matched that number, 5,000 jobs, in July. Okay? It has continuously kept going up. I was going to show you some graphs in this presentation that we have a guy that we call him the report man. He can run any kind of report that he wants. Amazing. And he sent me these beautiful reports to show from 2008 up to 2012, the curve that goes up in the number of jobs that we're doing as a company. But he put them in PDF, and I couldn't cut and paste them into the presentation. I'm going to kick his rear when I get back. But that kind of gives you an idea, okay, of how many bed bug management jobs we're doing. And our biggest month ever was August of this year. So that kind of gives you an idea, okay? This is not slowing down. Yesterday a person said, so when is this ever going to end? When is this ever, I mean, have you asked that question? Right? Have you asked yourself that question? Have you asked that question? Yeah, when is this going to end? We were talking about it. We're not sure. As scientists, we're not really sure. You know, it did end at one point in time, okay? And it went away for a long time, and then all of a sudden it's back. So hopefully, in my presentation, I'm going to give you some information, all right, and kind of lead you through the process of why it is important to understand the biology. I just lost my mentor from Purdue. His name was John Osmond. He was the department head there for 30-some years. He was not only a great man, but he was a really great scientist. And he used to say to me all the time, Gene, it all comes back to the bug. It all comes back to the bug. The problem is it may not be the pest management company's fault. It may not be the homeowner or tenant's fault, okay? But it all comes back to the bug. And the more that we think about that, the better relationships you will have, not only with your tenants, but also with the pest management companies, okay, that you work with. All right? Because this is a very complex problem, a very difficult situation to handle from a field aspect, for a management company. And so you have to put a program together with bed bug management that makes sense for everyone. And guess what? You know what the hard part is? Yeah, I'm talking to you. Just shake your head, yeah. Yeah, you know what the hard part is. Okay, yeah. The hard part is that every situation that you deal with basically has differences. Everybody lives differently, okay, in their own space. Everybody thinks differently, okay? Different companies do things differently. You have to find a program that matches up for what you want. It is not something you should do off the cuff. You should think about it carefully, all right? And decide what is the best program for my situation. Get some good advice. Get some good, consulting from someone, right? Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about this. All right, last year, Tom said, all right, I want you to talk about Bed Bugs 101 Back to the Basics. Well, that's a great title and everything, but there's not much basic about bed bugs. Okay, they're not a very basic insect. So I've tried to find a couple of different titles that I might like. All right, and so I thought, well, bed bugs. Pretty much, don't you think so, ma'am? It's pretty much, that says it all, right? Boring. It is. It's pretty boring. Okay, you don't look like a boring person, so I'm not throwing that off on you there. Okay. Then I thought, let's give it a movie title. Hello, boys. We're back. Remember that? Okay. Oh, they just showed up, didn't they? Bed bugs just started showing up, and now it's kind of crazy. And I always like. Remember what he said? Remember that? I wanted to say this at church. You know what I'm saying? I actually had some great ideas. See, my dad was a preacher, okay, my whole life. And my best buddy down here, his dad was too. That's kind of weird, isn't it? All right? Our dads were preachers. Birds of a feather, right? All right? I had a great idea, but they moved the cross on me. Remember last year it was in the middle back here and it had a big blue light on it and stuff? And then now it's over here and it's kind of doesn't have a whole lot of light on it. I was going to pin a big bed bug to that thing. I didn't know if the pastor would get really mad at me or not. I thought maybe he'd come up here and beat me up or something, while he was up here. But then I thought, this is my favorite title. Between the Sheets, Bed Bugs Suck. And they do, don't they? They really, really do, in many different ways. In many different ways. But then I got back to it and said, well, I just try to stick with what Tom wants me to talk about. So what I want to do is I'm going to walk you through this presentation right now. And here's what we're going to talk about. And you're not gonna mess me up if you raise your hand. If you've got a burning question, now it's better to wait till the end, write it down, okay, and ask me a question at the end. But if you've got a burning question and you're raising your hand, and I don't mean asking me if you've got to go to the potty, okay? All right, but if you've got a question and it's burning in your heart and you've got to get it out, stop me, okay? Because I'll take your question, all right? But let's try to hold them to the end because that makes things go a little bit faster. And those of you down here in the front who know me, I can talk all day. And so we got to keep within a schedule anyway. We're going to talk about the demise and rise of bed bugs. What happened to them, because we used to live with them a lot. Prior to 1940s, bed bugs were extremely common. And you could find them in almost every household. And then they disappeared. It's pretty interesting. Okay? Then all of a sudden, they came back, so we're going to talk about that. I want to give you the identification, biology, behavior of bed bugs. You cannot imagine how many specimens that our company takes on a regular basis. We have 4 board-certified entomologists on staff, I being one of them. We have 11 associate certified entomologists in different offices around our office. You can't imagine the insects that we get that people think are bed bugs. Okay? Or that look like bed bugs. They look just like bed bugs, but they're not. Did you know that there was one of those out there? You didn't know that, did you? That's why this is so important. Okay? The identification. Then we're going to talk about some program strategies that work. We'll talk about inspection. I've got some new information on that for you. We're going to talk about the educational components because I think this is the #1 most important part of any good pest management program, especially when we talk about bed bugs. And we're going to talk about some treatment strategies. Now, I'm only going to touch on the treatment strategies because later on you have a speaker, John Gideon, who's going to come and talk about those strategies in detail. And so I don't want to take away from his presentation because he's got good information for you. And so I'm going to just briefly give you an outline of what is available out there for treatment options. And we'll take it from there. Okay, you ready? Everybody ready?
Good.
Okay, I want everyone to stand up real quick. Can you do that? I know you're in your comfort zone. Come on, buddy, you can do it. Look, the guy's looking right here. The guy with the coffee. He's looking at me going, oh, it's going to go. Come on. Okay, now he takes his jacket off. Now he's got the comfort thing going. He's ready to go, okay? I want you to turn around, shake the person behind you, because I know you haven't met that person. Just say hi to him for a second. That's good. Now, okay, everybody face back forward. Everybody face back forward for a second. Okay, everybody face back forward. When you turn around and looked at those people behind you, did you notice that this environment, this beautiful amphitheater, is the perfect place for a bed bug infestation?
Yes.
People sitting quietly in a seat, okay? And if it's church, half of you are sleeping. Okay? This is the perfect environment for bed bugs. Okay? All right? They can get periodic meals. They can live in all the little cracks and crevices in the chairs. All right? They can live at the edges of the carpeting and where the seats are bolted into the floor. Right? Yeah. That's kind of spooky, isn't it? That's kind of spooky. How do you know that this guy doesn't have bed bugs in his stuff when you're sitting next to him? It's kind of, you know what? That's tough, isn't it? It's tough. All right, everybody can sit down. Go ahead. I just wanted to point that out to you. Well, that got him stirred up, didn't it? You know, you'll be itching the rest of this talk, won't you? You'll be itching the rest of this talk. All right, let's talk about this. The bed bug, Cimex lectularius. This insect, and up here is a photograph of the stages from egg to adult. And we'll talk about some other things along with this in a minute. But this insect is the ultimate human parasite. And I should call it an ectoparasite. Ecto meaning what? Outside. These do not burrow into your skin. They will crawl into your ear. And if they start whispering sweet nothings, it's not the bed bug. Okay? But it's an interesting insect because they're the ultimate human parasite. And the reason I say that is because anybody in here ever had head lice? Oh, come on. See? Isn't that funny? Oh, there is a brave and honest woman. You're a brave and honest woman, and I appreciate your honesty. Because there's more than just one person there who's had head lice. Okay? I can tell you right now the percentages speak to that, but it's a stigma. People are afraid. Okay? My 3 grandkids, I have, well, you know what? I lost the bottom of this thing. Hopefully it's all part of it. Oh, did you find it right there? Sorry about that, folks. My three of my grandkids, I have 8 grandchildren. I'm 55, okay? I have 8 grandchildren, right? And 1 on the way. Miles. Kyle. Great. So, I just had 3 of them call me the other day, and my daughter-in-law says, can you come to our house and take a look at something for us? Yeah, what is it? Oh, I found this bug in my girl's hair. And I said, okay, head lice. First day of school. It was the first day of school. Okay. I don't know if you're all seeing that out there, but it could happen, so keep an eye out, all right? If you have head lice, you know you have head lice because they itch. They leave fecal material in your hair. They leave nits, okay? You can see them, they're there, all right? All right? You have body lice, which are really uncommon, okay? You need a shower. If you have body lice, you need a shower, all right? Cleanliness does have a lot to do, not everything to do, but a lot to do with body lice, okay? If you have pubic crabs, I don't know, you need to get a new boyfriend. New girlfriend. I don't know. But you know you have them. You might not care how you got them, but you know you have them. Okay? Right? Very, very irritating, very itching, that sort of thing. Bed bugs are a whole other story. You may not know you have them until the population gets so bad and you see them. I had a gentleman not too long ago, 82 years old, lived in an apartment. His apartment was one of the more problematic apartments I've been in. It had a lot of bed bugs. And I asked him, when did you see these bed bugs? He said, about a week ago. He said, how long do you think I had those? Well, I didn't want to tell him. Year and a half. Okay? They were really bad in his apartment. They were so bad that they had laid eggs on his shirts in his closet. Okay? So you can see the transport thing happening here. Okay? Moving around. But the interesting thing is, and the sad part of this is that he has a hard time seeing. He couldn't see the bed bugs. His vision was, he was having trouble with his vision. But he did say to me, he said, for weeks I kept having dreams in the morning that things were crawling all over me. It wasn't a dream. It was not a dream, okay? That's a sad state of affairs, for our elderly. It really is, okay? And so we've got a job to do, okay? And the fact that we're all aging, and we're all going to be there in a short time, okay, is even more important, okay? We've figured this out now, okay? But this is the ultimate human ectoparasite. It comes in, it feeds on us, it leaves. Its peak activities is at a time where we're at our lowest activity. Okay? Sleeping or resting. So how important are they? I don't think I need to tell you this. The financial and legal considerations to homeowners, tenants, associations is incredible. Somebody said to me, are we going to get a break in our budgets? I mean, our apartment housing authority has spent $55,000 in the last month alone. Are we going to get a break, or is this going to be part of our life? Got some bad news. It's probably going to be part of our life for a while. The budgets are going to have to be worked out, okay? Because unfortunately, these are not an inexpensive solution, okay? Physical and mental health issues. Yesterday in this conversation, we were talking about the fact that publicly, this is probably one of the most devastating pests to our culture. Not only is it draining our finances, it's causing legal problems, okay? It is causing problems in the science of pest management, okay? Because we're trying to find solutions for you, and right now there isn't one good one, okay? We love the quick fix, don't we, all of us? Okay, we love that quick fix. Let's just apply pesticide and it's done with. It doesn't work that way with bed bugs. Matter of fact, that's one of the, I think personally, okay, over-applying insecticides is a problem. Okay? And so that's just my opinion, all right? And of course, the public perceptions. People, the internet has been one of the most beautiful things. I love the internet. I don't spend as much time on it. I love the internet because you can find information on it, but it's also been one of the worst things to our culture too. And I knew this was going to happen eventually. All the myths, all the urban legends, all of the misidentifications, all of the wrong information is out there as much as the good information. So it comes back to us again to weed it out. All right? And that's why you're here. So let's talk about the demise of bed bugs. In 1950, 5% DDT was the product of choice In 56, 6 years later, malathion, which is an organophosphate pesticide, was registered. Both of these worked really great on bed bugs. However, in 1957, a guy named Katz, who was a pest management professional and an entomologist, you know what his first name was? Harry. Harry Katz. Now, is that a funny name or what? Okay. You know? Improved sanitation practices in modern hotels. Modern appliances such as washers, dryers, vacuums aided in sanitation around the home. Okay. Changes in furniture styles and materials. And guess what? In the 40s, in the 1940s, pest management industry began to bloom, to take off. People didn't want to have to apply their own pesticides. They wanted to hire somebody to do it. So all of these things combined together, we think played a role in bed bugs disappearing, slowly disappearing. Over the years, they disappeared. We got better at what we were doing, all right? And so we think that had something to do with the demise. As a matter of fact, just to prove a point, soldiers were dusted with DDT dust to keep body lice and other insects from biting them inside of their uniforms when they were in the field fighting. Okay? All right? Now, everybody says, oh my God, DDT, it must have got cancer. No. No. DDT got a bad rap because it had a bad effect in the environment. This was actually a very good insecticide. It worked. It didn't hurt people. Okay? As far as we know, the incidence of cancer did not go up in these people. Okay? They did the long-term research studies. All right? But we think it's bad because of our culture that we're in right now. But they used to dust the soldiers for this. You take a look at these other two pictures up here. They used to go up and down the beaches with these big, giant fogging machines for mosquitoes and for sand flies that can cause a lot of disease in people when they bite you. And they used to go up and down and spray them. And you can see these two women right here in their bathing suits, and they got big grins on their faces. No bugs on me. I'm available, no bugs. You know? I mean, it's just kind of, it's really funny. And so this was commonplace. As a matter of fact, DDT was a product that was used to protect children in their rooms. It was impregnated into wallpaper. Okay? Because bed bugs, they like to get behind little places in the wallpaper, behind baseboards and that sort of thing. But think about it, if you put the DDT in the wallpaper and they're there, well, you're probably going to kill some insects. Or you're going to create a resistance problem, which we now know it did both. Okay? So it's pretty interesting. And you got up here, you got this Palvex. I love this. It's like a little song. Please don't bother me. I'm dusted with Palvex DDT. They got like a little song going there. I mean, look at this. This is a dairy milk commercial. DDT is good for me. Okay? So you can understand that this time, in this period, people were really involved in keeping their environments safe for their children and insect-free. It was neither good or bad, okay? It was a way of life. It's what we were striving for. And it's what we're still striving for today is health, okay? Peace of mind, our psychology, okay? All these things are important to our culture. Well, something happened. About 10 years ago, I went to an Entomological Society of America meeting. And there was a couple of guys there that got up who were talking about the highlights of medical entomology. And one of the gentlemen said, you know, how many of you in here are involved in structural pest management? Well, that's our symposium, so there was quite a few of us in there. Have you guys been hearing of people having bed bugs all of a sudden? And lo and behold, a lot of hands went up. And we realized right then something was happening because prior to that, I've been working with Miles. He's been my buddy since 1981. I probably shouldn't tell him that because now he's like, oh crap. You know, they're going to ask me questions about this guy. What's he really like? But Miles and I have been buddies a long time. We've been doing pest management a long time. And I can remember as a technician, I had one in 1982, I think it was, or something like that, Miles. I had one bed bug job ever. I had no clue what I was doing. I was looking at it and saying, okay, I know they're in these cracks and crevices, and I was treating that and doing that, but I really did not at that time totally understand the ramifications of what I was doing. They were so uncommon. We didn't see them. No one treated them. So all of a sudden, they've come back. We think it has something to do with population dynamics. We know that bed bugs are ultimate hitchhikers. That's what they like to do. You know, bed bugs they'll run around and they'll move. They will. They'll move from apartment to apartment. But by far, the majority of them like to stay where they're at. They're close to food. They've got shelter. That's what they like. They don't want to move. They want to stay where they're at. It doesn't mean they won't move. Okay? And they're faster than what you think, too. Okay? And they'll move some pretty good distances. But we know that they like to hitchhike, so package delivery. We went away from general insecticide applications inside homes. We stopped it. I mean, it was a cultural thing. Okay? When Silent Spring came out, it brought up a lot of points and changed the way we're all living today. Okay? With the environmental movement. We also believe that we're, well, now we're not now, but when this first started happening, pest management professionals did not understand exactly how we could treat these insects. And there were some other complications too. And we'll talk about those in a minute. But we had more and more hotels with longer and longer stays. I mean, think about it. Apartments cropped up, townhouses have cropped up, okay? Lots of hotels and motels, all right, out there, all right? Easy transport for these insects. The revival of elegance in bed framing and furniture, cutting corners, okay, in sanitation. You know what's really kind of funny? For a while there, I stayed in a few hotels, okay? And for a while there, you'd come in, there'd be that little name tent on your bed that would say, we're not going to change your sheets, okay, unless you ask us to, right? Kind of thing. I don't see those. All of a sudden, they disappeared. Isn't that funny? Okay, there's a good reason for it. Okay, very good reason for it. And of course, you know, there's a lot of other factors. We'll talk about a couple more in just a minute. All right, I'm going to give you a bed bug ID. Which one of these 5 insects is a bed bug? Yeah, you guys know this. See, you've seen it enough now, you understand. Your ID is there, okay? Number 3 is the bed bug. But did you realize that all of these insects belong to the same order of insects? They're similar in nature. They all have piercing, sucking mouth parts, okay? They all have similar features. The big difference between the bed bug and the others is none of the others except number 5 will bite you, okay, purposely. Okay? And they're all related to one another. First one is called the masked hunter. This one's called a box elder bug. You got them on your box elder trees, right? You ever seen these around? Box elder bugs? You know, they're mating. Can you tell which one's the male? He's got the smile. That's a pretty bad joke. Number 3 is the bed bug. Number 4 is the leaf-footed bug. And number 5 is an ectoparasite of humans. We don't have them here except for in the far desert southwest of the United States, called a blood-sucking cone nose. What a name, huh? You know, if you're ever at a bar and some guy gets nasty with you, you can just say, you know, you're a blood-sucking cone nose. And they'll look at you and walk away. Because they know that they're dealing with something that's out of their range. Okay? All right? There are 90, and this is kind of funny information, there are 92 described species of bed bugs and their relatives worldwide. 16 of these species are reported in the continental United States and Canada. I have 4 in my collection. I just got 3 new species. I actually had 2. I got 2 new species from Mike Potter at the University of Kentucky that he wanted me to photograph for him. And they're interesting because they look just like bed bugs, but they're either really small or there's a little bit of a difference in them. You know, you can look at them and they're kind of odd. And so there are 16 species in the U.S. 3 of these species are considered ectoparasites of humans, or I should say they will bite humans. There's only one that's really the ectoparasite of humans. Well, in this case, two. Okay, the bed bug and the tropical bed bug. Okay, the eastern bat bug, which we have here in Ohio, which we have in Michigan, which we have in Indiana. Okay, is also an insect that will bite you. Okay, and they're ectoparasites of bats. They look just like a bed bug. They will come into the house. Okay, and they will bite. Did you have a question, sir? No? Okay, I thought I saw your hand going there. So, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. There are some alternate names for bed bugs. Okay, the bat bug, the bed louse, the clock bug. I love this one, the crimson rambler. Just kind of got a ring to it, doesn't it? All right? The house bug, the house louse, the mahogany bug, the mahogany flap, the night crawler. Okay? The red coat, the wall louse, and the wallpaper flounder. It's very descriptive. The wallpaper flounder is very descriptive because they're very flat. They look like a flounder fish. All right, let's talk about ID for a second. This is fundamentally the most important part of the integrated pest management program, because what it does is it sets everything else in motion. If you make the wrong identification, your program is moot. Okay? If you have a company that's out there doing professional pest management, or you've got somebody who claims to be a professional pest manager, they may be working just as maybe they're working as maintenance or something like that, and they claim that they can be a good entomologist, that sort of thing. Don't be fooled by that. Okay? You need an expert looking at insects. Now, it's pretty darn obvious when you go into an apartment, or you go into a townhouse, or you go into an assisted living room, and you have bugs all over the bed, right? You have fecal spots everywhere, the person's being bit. You're pretty much rest assured you have a bed bug problem. Okay? The issue comes when you only have one specimen or two, and you can't find them anywhere else in the apartment because those could be bat bugs. All right? And you're saying, oh, well, how often does that happen? This summer, I've had 4 specimens of bat bugs come to me. 4 from different places. They were bat bugs, not bed bugs. The treatment is totally different. Okay? And not very invasive to the client. Now, what you have up here is an egg that's 1 millimeter long, okay? And basically, this egg hatches, and this becomes an instar. This instar, in order to get to this stage, has to have a blood meal, okay? This insect, in order to get to this stage, the third nymphal stage, has to have a blood meal. So does this one, so does this one, to get to adulthood. So, this insect is biting you once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times to get to adulthood. Okay? Does that make sense? Are you still with me? Okay, some of you got a blank look on your faces. Is that just lack of coffee? Okay, something. So anyway, so what happens here is all of these are feeding on you. This adult, male and female, also have to feed in order to mate, okay, and reproduce eggs. And after each clutch of eggs, this female will feed over and over again. Okay, and they'll take blood whenever they need it. There's a study that came out yesterday that said that females that are gravid, that means that they've been impregnated and they're storing sperm, okay, which they do, and they're going to lay eggs, feed every 2.5 to 3 days. Because that's the cycle of egg laying. We know now. Okay, so we're learning some stuff. All right, now you might say, well, that's not really, tell them I said hi. You know, it's really funny because, it really does make you think about it a little bit, because you're thinking, well, how does that apply to what we're doing? Well, it applies a lot, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. And so you have this insect that goes from all these different stages. This stage is usually, and I don't know Dale Hodgson is an entomologist here too as well. Okay, we're talking about. Dale, have you ever seen a bed bug that's bigger than roughly 5 or 6 millimeters? Occasionally. Yeah, once in a lifetime. Yeah, once in a lifetime you get a shack. You know what I'm saying? You do. Yeah, every now and then you get a shack. All right? But most of the time, we're all pretty much the same size. And so are they. All right? And so what happens is, they don't get much bigger than 5 millimeters and about 3 millimeters across. And they're very, very flat. All right? And so I'm not going to go into all these details here because this is kind of entomology stuff. But you've got the idea that this is an oval-looking insect. Okay? All right? And it gradually, notice the pigment change in it? Do you notice that? They go from white to mahogany brown. Okay? And they're actually, from an entomologist's point of view, they're beautiful species. They really are. They're just really annoying. Okay? So it's pretty interesting. Now, I'm going to talk to you for a second. I'm going to go, oh, by the way, I just saw a picture yesterday from a bed bug researcher who's really a great guy. And he showed this picture. You ever seen a drywall screw? It's got a Phillips head. Okay, so you got the little cross in there, right? He showed a picture of a drywall screw. And inside of that drywall screw, there were 15 first instar nips in the grooves. Inside the grooves. Now, does that give you a picture of how small these are? So I want to ask you a question. How in the heck are you going to find bed bugs in an account when you have to look inside of a drywall screw?
With the dog.
I want you to think about that for a minute. Do you understand the problem that a pest management company has coming in and doing an inspection? Okay, there's a problem, and you wonder, well, how come that's going to cost me this much money? It's time. It's time and labor. Okay? Time is money, right? In business, time is money. And it's unfortunate, but we have to charge for our time. And we know what that is. And it's difficult. There are ways to get around it. We'll talk about those in a minute. All right. This on the left is a bed bug. And this on the right, and you have to excuse the coloration. The color of the one on the right should be exactly like the color on the left. And the reason why it's yellow is because for some reason, when you store, and I didn't know this, okay, I learned, when you store bat bugs in alcohol, it denatures their proteins and they lose their color. Okay? And so this insect, if you can just bear with me and imagine for a moment, is the same color. What do you notice about it, though? Yeah, it's like real hairy. And they are. As a matter of fact, that's the diagnostic key to know this insect. And what it is that in a bed bug, these little hairs right here on the foredge of the pronotum are shorter than the width of this eye. But the hairs on this area, the pronotum, in the bat bug are longer than the width of this eye. Okay? You need a microscope to tell, by the way. And if you look at these with the naked eye, okay? Now, as an entomologist, I know what I'm looking at. I can look at specimens and say, that's a bat bug. Dale, you can do that too, can't you? Because we look at them all the time. I don't need a microscope. You would need a microscope. Okay? Or a pair of really good reading glasses. How many of you are into those now? There stinks, doesn't it? Okay. Bedbug biology. Let's talk about this. These insects have what we call a gradual metamorphosis, meaning that they gradually grow to adulthood. Okay? They do not have wings. They do not develop wings. They do not develop jumping legs. They do not jump. Okay? Because they have no wings, they do not fly. They do run pretty well, and they hide, and they're very flat. Okay? But they don't do any of those things that people claim they do. They won't jump on you when you're walking by an infestation. Okay? They will crawl on you. Okay? But they won't jump on you. You don't find them on toilet seats unless the toilet's infested, which we have had. This is really sad. Okay? I just want to... No. Not even going there, okay? I'm just a guy, hey, I'm in and out of the bathroom. I'm done, you know what I'm saying? Right? I don't want to read in there, you know? So it kind of gives you an idea. Let's talk about the egg for a minute, okay? Hey, when am I due to be finished? Who's got a program?
10:15.
10:15? Okay, we're good.
That's with questions.
Go ahead.
No, that's with questions, please.
Oh, with questions. Okay, so I got to hustle here. The eggs are 1 millimeter long. They're operculate. They have a circular lid that pops open and the insect crawls out. Okay? The female produces a cement and she glues these eggs. Now I want you to think about this. You got your suitcase in a hotel room that you didn't inspect, and you got a female bed bug that gets on your suitcase and lays an egg. She glues it. It's not coming off unless you physically wipe it off. So guess what you just did?
Brought him home.
Yeah, you just brought them home, okay? And so that's one of the things that is important to keep in mind. These eggs, these eggs right here were on a dress shirt. They weren't in a crack or a crevice, which is normally where they're at, okay? This is on a dress shirt, all right? Kind of gives you an idea. These eggs hatch in 10 to 6 days. And there are some temperature things we're learning about them. Cold. Unless it's minus 20 for more than 2 days, that's minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? For 2 days solid, you won't kill the eggs. How often do we have minus 20 degrees for 2 days? Not very common, is it? No, not common. Cold does not kill the eggs. All right? Heat will kill the eggs. But we'll talk about that. All right? How many eggs are laid at a time? Usually, they're in small batches, 3, 4, okay? And then she'll go a little longer and then lay some more. They don't sit down and lay 300 eggs at a time. One female produces, and we'll talk about this, I think it's, was it up there? Maybe it's up on the next slide here. Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is right there. Okay, we'll talk about that. The female lays about 200 eggs at a time in her lifetime. Okay, in her whole life, about 200 eggs. All right, and we'll talk about some more biology in a second. If you go to the nymph for a second, and you look at the fact that the nymphs pass through these 5 instars, we call them, and nymphal stages take about 35 to 48 days under really great conditions. Right, under really great. So you've got this insect that can gradually move to adulthood in about a month, a little more than a month. I would say 6 weeks to be safe. Okay, 6 weeks, because there's a lot of variables in there. Then you have the adult insect. The adult's lifespan is about 7 months, but it's known to occur up to a year and a half. Okay, in captivity, which is a whole different ballgame. It's very interesting when you talk about, and I don't want to talk about bedbug sex life, okay, too much, but it's a very interesting process. The female does not have a urogenital opening for copulation, okay? She has a groove, okay? So I can literally say she gets into the groove, But she has a groove, and the male will pierce this groove, and it actually hurts the female, okay? He injects sperm into her, which then migrate through her body cavity to what's called a spermatheca, where it's stored. She only has to mate once. But males will a lot of times mate with her 3 or 4 times. And if you think about that for a second, that's pretty fascinating in the world of insects. You may have the genetic lines for more than one male and female, okay? And if you know anything about genetics and know anything about populations, variation is the key to survival as a species, okay? And so it's very interesting, a whole lot of population stuff. Okay? So if you do the math, 200 eggs per female, all of these insects are maturing in 6 weeks. How many generations per year out of one female? Somebody divide 6 by 52. Come on, somebody in here's got to be good at math. I'm terrible. 8.5 generations a year, right? Okay, 8.5 generations a year. Usually the egg ratio is 50-50. Half females. That just works out with insects that way. Okay, And each one of those, as they mature, are also starting to lay eggs. Can you understand the population growth? It only takes about 3 months to really get a bad problem going. Okay? It happens very, very fast. All right, let's talk about their behavior a little bit so I can keep moving. They're gregarious. They like to live together. Just like we do as people, we like to live close to each other. Okay, for the most part. All right? And so they're gregarious. They're ectoparasites. They feed only on the blood of mammals, although yeah, this is kind of weird, but I saw pictures of a bed bug feeding on a reptile, which I think is really odd. I'm not sure why, what's going on there, but the rest of that research remains to be seen. Their peak activity is 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, just about the time your kids are getting home from the bar. Okay, perfect, all right? They feed in 3 to 15 minutes. Most of the ones I've had feed on me are probably 3.5 to 4 minutes, okay? And then they'll completely feed and engorge themselves and get all big and fat and happy. They deposit feces on the skin while they're feeding on you, adding insult to injury. Okay? Nothing like being crapped on, right? Some days you're the bug, other days you're the windshield, right? Okay? All right, they produce a very specific odor, and they will travel up to about 100 feet to take a blood meal. So they'll come from one side of the apartment to another to feed on humans. If they know their environment and they understand where they're at, they'll do that. Okay? It's not as common. They like to stay close to the people, but they will do that. All right. The front, when a bed bug bites you, it has its own little set of things that it does. It'll grasp forward with its hind legs and the rear sides of the abdomen. They usually raise up their abdomen like this so they can insert that stylet. Okay, those stylets you see right here. These are like a sheath. You ever seen a sword and a sheath? Okay, these two things that you see down here is like the sheath. This little hypodermic needle is the stylet, and that little stylet pierces through the skin and until it hits a capillary. When it hits a capillary, it begins to draw blood, okay, out of that capillary. And what it does then is it inserts an anesthetic, so you can't feel it bite you, okay? It also produces a vasodilator to open up that capillary and get the blood flowing a little bit better. And it also produces an anticoagulant, so your platelets don't clog up its mouth parts, all right? And it has an anti-clotting agent, okay? I mean, wow. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible stuff. They take about 8 micrograms of blood. Now, that's not a lot. I just saw a film yesterday of bed bugs in a house, and I have never seen Dale. He was brushing the exuvium, which are the shed skins of the insect. They had to be 2 inches thick on the floor. That's how many bed bugs. Now, you tell me that there were literally hundreds of thousands of bed bugs in this house, that they weren't taking enough blood to make a person anemic. Okay? I truly believe we're going to see a lot of medical research come out on this in the future. There is no noticeable reaction in 31% of people. And inflammation and itching is not common. I go in, I get bit, nothing happens. Other than I get weirded out a little bit for 5 minutes. Okay? And sensitivities in people can change. There's some examples of bites. That's what a nymph looks like when it's biting. This is an adult right here with its stylets inserting into the skin. This is the fecal drop that they'll leave on you when it stimulates their digestive tract when they're feeding. And of course, and this is also what gets on the sheets and on the bed frames and the mattresses and that sort of thing. And of course, you can see also an example. This is our technical entomologist at the company. His name is Shep. Okay, and he goes into, and better him than me. Okay, if I go into a job and I know they're on me and I know they're biting me. Okay, they don't bother me. They don't hurt me. I don't get any rashes. I don't get any. He goes in to do a job and they get on his arm, and that's what they do to him. You can see that. Yesterday, Jerome Goddard, who is a medical entomologist, one of the best in the country, works with the Centers for Disease Control, was talking about a research paper that they're doing right now, okay, regarding all of the components that are in the saliva, and they're trying to figure out what causes the allergenic response in some people. And I would imagine in the next year, 2 years, we're going to see the results of that paper. They just started this research. Fascinating stuff. Okay? Right now, it's all way up here. Okay? I tell you, it's tough. But pretty interesting how some people react and other people do not. Okay. This is the... wow. Not sure what happened to my graphics here. It's probably the program. Okay. Well, let me just say this. Children under the age of 10, okay, and adults over the age of 65, okay, react less to the bites of bedbugs. Therefore, they are the most vulnerable age groups. All right? Where we see people biting them, that's great, love that. Where we see people biting or being bitten, okay, is mostly on the arms and legs. Okay, they will be bitten on the back. They will be bitten on the neck and head and face. But generally speaking, it's arms, sides, and legs. And I'm sorry about that data. That was okay this morning. I'm not sure if our programs are matching up here. But bed bugs are the perfect insect for IPM. If you are not putting together a program with someone to manage bed bugs, I don't mean come in and just treat with insecticides. That's not a program. That's one facet of a program. Okay? There's only one piece of the puzzle. Bed bugs are a puzzle. You need to be able to find a way to inspect for bed bugs, provide any necessary sanitation, mostly in the form of clutter, which you're going to hear about later, is a major problem, especially for pest management people and for actually helping bed bug populations develop because they have so many darn places to hide. Okay? You take away their functional niches, they have a hard time surviving. Okay? Clutter is a problem. And I'm just telling you that right up front. There are ways that we can mechanically control bed bugs. Exclusion, okay, to a certain degree, especially with bed covers. We don't do much trapping, but it's possible that there's a couple of new traps that are coming up. They're mostly monitoring devices. Documentation, quality control, physical control, administrative support. If you can't get along with who it is you're working with, and you can't agree to listen to the professionals, and the professionals can't agree to listen to you, it's two ways, okay? We have to understand the nature of your business. You have to understand the nature of ours, okay? There has to be a collaboration. There has to be an agreement there, okay? And, you know, making pesticide applications and, of course, the service technician part of it. And this key element right here, these are the four corners. Education is probably, I think, the most important part of any good pest management program. Okay, program strategies. I'm just going to give you this one thing up here I think is important. It's in the purple, in pink. A good program has inspection, identification, and monitoring at its initiation. Then the program, once it gets initiated and all the things have been looked at, all things considered, cultural, structural, insect infestation, okay, whether it's high, low, medium, you know, however you want to judge it. Evaluation recommendations to the client, and then the education. The education in bed bugs needs to come first before the treatment. You are going to fall on your face if you don't educate the tenants and the clients and the owners of the buildings first, so that everyone understands why you're doing what you're going to do. Okay, you have to do that. Then you treat, you make your treatments, you document those treatments, and you follow them up. Bed bugs may not be a one-time proposition as far as treatment goes. Sometimes we can tear them out of there in one application of a product and you're done. Other times it may be 2, 3 times. We've had situations that we just keep treating. Okay? It's the nature of the individual problems that I was telling you about earlier. So, all right, let's talk about inspection monitoring. I still have 5 minutes left. I can do this. I'm a long-winded son of a gun, aren't I? It's the preacher in me. Okay? You know what I mean? All right. Inspection and monitoring. Visual, canine, and monitoring devices. Let's walk through them. Where are you going to look for bed bugs? How long is it going to take 2 guys to go through every crack and crevice of those beds, to look in every cabinet, every dresser drawer? Think about it. You're talking a little room like this. You're talking 45 minutes to an hour. And that may be conservative, Dale. What do you think? That may be conservative. What are you looking for? 1 egg. 1 egg that's 1 millimeter long, stuck in a crack somewhere that and you may not even be able to see it. Okay, that's part of the real big issue here. This is, you know what? I went up to Frankenmuth, Michigan. Anybody been to Frankenmuth, Michigan? Yeah, I see some Frankenmuth people up there. Yeah, you went up to buy Christmas crap, didn't you? You drag him with you?
No.
Oh, thank God. Buddy, I'm happy for you. Okay? Pulled up a bed. There's a complaint of a bed bug in a room. Pulled up a bed. And we're looking. And down on the bed frame, that's all I see. Just looks like spotting on wood, right? It's like no big deal. There's not very much of it there. Okay? And I thought, well, is that really bed bugs? I can't tell. You know, I like to think I'm pretty good at this, but I can't tell. And then I look down on the side, and I see a shed skin of a bed bug. That was the other thing. Most people, and entomologists wouldn't miss it, but most people would. Okay? There were bed bugs here. Those are fecal spots. I found the bed bug, but it was just one. Just one bed bug. That's the kind of thing sometimes you look for. Those are the really hard situations. This is a crack where you've got eggs in the crack. See this egg? Remember how big was an egg? You guys are learning. Man, I'm doing a good job. 1 millimeter. Right? That's a 1 ceiling. Okay? And a sculptured ceiling. That's, by the way, that little, the magnification on this is close to 2x magnification. Okay? And so what I'm photographing is an area about 12 millimeters long, essentially. This big. That's a very small hole. Okay? It just goes to show you, it doesn't take much for bed bugs to hide. Now, I put this up here because this is like one of the big things you're not supposed to do when you talk in PowerPoint. Okay, put a bunch of words up on this thing because everybody goes, oh crap, look at all that stuff. All right. I did this for a reason. These are the places that you need to look for bed bugs. Do you get the point? Are you getting the point here? Okay? All right, it's difficult. There's more. Furniture, cabinetries, electronics, decorative items. All right. There is a better way. Okay? There is a better way, and I truly believe this. All right? Pest management professionals are about 50, and this is my estimate. You know, there's some other professional pest management people in here who might disagree with me in this. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Okay? Because I think you know I'm going to be right. We're about 50% good, okay, at inspecting for bed bugs. Don't get me wrong. We're good at what we do. But with bed bugs, we're about 50% good. All right? And so we looked at a better way to find bed bugs. In the dogs. Canine inspection is pretty good. I have to tell you. Number one, we want them to indicate on live bed bugs and only eggs that'll hatch. If you bring a dog in and they're indicating on dead insects or dead eggs, what good is it doing you? You're giving a false reading. Okay? We know that in the laboratory, that bed bugs are about 95% positive. Okay? About 95. and indicating on other insects, they can differentiate between a cockroach and a bed bug. They're 97% accurate. Okay, so all these tests were done at the University of Florida, all right? We also know that detecting eggs, they're about 90% accurate. Now, it's not as high. Part of that is because the replicate was bad, okay, and they weren't able to get the numbers in a little bit higher. But the dogs are better at finding bed bugs, and guess what? They can go in an apartment room, and in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, be done. It takes me a half hour, 45 minutes. Okay? So you can cover more ground with the dog. We like the dogs and how they indicate for us that bed bugs are there. Okay? And there's lots of advantages and disadvantages to them, and I can talk to you about that later today because I have to get off here. Let me walk through this real quick. Monitors, I got to tell you, monitors don't do much for me. This one's expensive. This one is not kid-friendly. Okay? Go ahead and put that out for your kids to play with, if you have children. Or your pets. This is probably, from what entomologists tell me, there's a guy, Rick Cooper, who's doing the research on these right now. These things are excellent. They work really, really well. And they don't have to be put just underneath furniture legs and that sort of thing. Okay? They can be put around the apartment, and the insects will crawl into them. Okay? They are very good monitors and very inexpensive. You get 12 of them for $60. Okay? And I highly recommend these for determining if you still have an infestation or something like that. All right, so there's a whole bunch of different monitoring devices out there we're going to talk about. But remember that education is the most important thing that you can do in your program. And you have to have everything in place in order to do that. This has nothing to do with this talk, but that's where I went to grade school. It's education, okay? It's education, all righty? And I want to walk through this. I'm going to show like 2 more slides, okay? Because John's going to come and talk to you about treatments. There are some different treatment strategies out there. Physical removal, using vacuums and brushing, exclusion with mattress covers. I highly recommend those. Don't throw away. Geez, I just bought a new mattress. Are you kidding me? They're expensive. It's crazy, okay? A traditional insecticide treatments, heat, steam and dry, cryogenics, fumigation, and controlled atmospheres. Lots of different things you can do. The only ones that I like, and this is a protective bed, okay, that will encase a mattress and really do the job long term, okay, to control insects that are in that mattress that you can't do or shouldn't do with conventional insecticides. You can fumigate these, okay, which works, but that's also another cost added to the job, so it gets a little bit expensive. By far, the bed cover is a less expensive way to go about doing it. There are your insecticide treatments, okay, but heat treatment is the one vulnerability that bed bugs have. And that heat treatment kills the insects by dehydrating them and denaturing their proteins, i.e., you cook them like an egg, Tom. Okay? All right, and it works very well. And you'll see this out in the hall, somebody had their temperature stuff out there. Okay? I know that we shoot for 130, but you have to keep in mind you're dealing with conductive heat. When you put your hands on a cup of coffee in the morning, that's conductive heat. You feel the heat. All right, heat is convection if you have a convection oven. I love to cook. I don't care to bake too much, but I like to cook. If you have a convection oven, that's blowing the hot air around. Okay, which is a lot of what I'm doing out here now. Okay, all right. And so there's all of that to consider in the heat treatments. There's also steam treatment, okay, which we have not adopted because it's too variable and there's too many issues with it. Dry heat is the best, we think. There's also things like called the pack tight, which will heat up garments and heat up, bags and that sort of thing. But we like the heat treatments, and this is the reason why. Clutter. We can still heat this up and kill insects. Bed bugs in the hallway? Really? I mean, they can be bad, and so you got to be careful. And some of our heat treat equipment, and I don't want to go into that. But the bottom line is this. This is what you're after. Okay? These are bed bugs on a bed mattress after heat treatment. Untouched. I did not push them together, okay, to make a picture. They were just like that when I found them. It gives you an idea of how many insects are there in some of these things. So, Is this the end of my presentation? Yes. Okay. Of the bed bug? No. Okay. And it's going to be a long time, I think, before we get to that point. All right. So thank you very much for, spending a little time with me, and I hope I've set this program up for you so that you can have a better program the rest of the day. Thank you.